government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish.
Of the people, by the people, for the people.
And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Afternoon, folks. Chris McDonald, Mac Files, for a Tuesday. Here we go, getting this thing going on a Tuesday, October the 4th, 2016. Presidential debate tonight. We'll be talking about that a little bit, and going to be talking a little Trump taxes situation, how the media is going crazy without talking about Hillary's issue. Let me close my door here so we can get a better background there. But we're so glad to have you tonight, and we're going to get right to this. And we got to talk a little sports on this Tuesday. Was sick yesterday, didn't have a chance to do this, and didn't have a chance to talk about my Vols' tremendous win Saturday down in Athens, and we're going to do that a little bit tonight. Talk a little Falcons football with you too. But we want to get right to our main topic tonight. And again, we're just so happy to have you here on this Tuesday night, October the 4th, and we just appreciate everybody who has contacted us over the last 24 hours with our sickness and all, wishing us well, and we appreciate that. Nothing major, just a stomach bug and a little flu-like thing trying to catch us, but it didn't. We're sort of getting better today, but a little weak still from not eating yesterday, but I think we're going to make it. Anyway, tonight is the presidential debate, of course, between Tim Kaine and Mr. Mike Pence, and we're going to try to put a picture of them up together here, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. But I want to share a few thoughts. This will be the one and only debate that these two will have, just like in past years. And it should be an interesting debate tonight. I always get worried about these things when I look at the candidates because it's always funny to me how that the moderators take over these things instead of the candidates. And I hope tonight, honestly, that is not the case. I hope that Tim Kaine and Mike Pence will get to talk about the issues that matter to us as Americans. And I'll be honest with you folks, Donald Trump's taxes are not issues that affect us as Americans. That's a political hammer that those on the left always love to use against the Republicans. They used it against Romney in 2012. They used it a little bit against Bush, but not as much. But they definitely use it as a hammer against Mitt Romney back in 2012, and ultimately it cost him the election with the way that those things were playing out. And it's just sad to see it. And I just hope that they stick to the issues tonight, and we'll see how that plays out. But these are the two candidates that are going to be going at it later. Mike Pence there on the right, Tim Kaine on the left, and my thoughts about the vice presidential candidates are this. Mike Pence is a common sense conservative. One of the reasons that Donald Trump picked him to run on his ticket was to balance out Trump's very out there style. And, Mike Pence has done that. You don't hear much from him out there, and that's the best way to go when you're not hearing a lot from your VP candidate, but you will tonight. And you're going to see a contrast of two visions for America. You're going to see a vision for Mike Pence of low government, low taxes, getting the federal debt under control, getting spending under control, fighting terror and ISIS like they should, going after these people, destroying them, not trying to contain them, getting rid of Obamacare, replacing it and repealing it, Today, it's funny, we don't have the story, we're going to talk about it tomorrow, but Bill Clinton came out today slamming Obamacare, catching the White House off guard, and Josh Earnest had to hit back at Clinton about it. But Bill even said himself, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And when Bill Clinton says that, you know it's bad. And we're going to talk about that this week. But Obamacare is on the table. Those are issues that affect us as Americans out here. Our cost of living, our taxes, our wages, our country being safe from terrorism, these migrants coming in, taking jobs from our working people, illegal immigrants, not regular migration, but illegal immigration. Those are the things that we need to be discussing to push this country forward. In this last debate, you heard very little of that. There was some about it, but Lester Holt wanted to get in the gutter and talk about Donald Trump's birtherism and his taxes. And folks, those things matter very little when it comes to me and you out here tonight. And I just hope tonight's debate, even if the two vice president candidates can do it and not get in the mud with each other, and they can talk about the issues about which each of their candidates want to push forward, you're going to see a contrast between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump through their VPs. Tim Kaine, he's somewhat of a moderate, but folks, don't let that moderate tag fool you. He is left and leaning. He's right there with the Hillary train. And I just want to say this about the Democrats, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again tonight, and it's just a sad fact and a sad truth. The Democrats, no matter what Hillary Clinton has done, no matter how evil and wicked she may be in most minds of most Americans, and she is, folks, she's got a track record that, I mean, there is so much stuff to talk about with her, it's not funny. The media will chase every little rabbit that Donald Trump is after. I mean, they will go after his taxes, they went after his birther comments. My God, a vet and him talked on a radio program the other day or in an interview, and Donald Trump made one comment and really wasn't even meaning it the way it sounded, and they have just went to town. The vet came out today in public and said the media is disgusting, how they twisted that interview. But my point is, no matter what the Democratic candidate has done, the Democrats are in tow with her. They're 100% behind her. Most of them are. And this moderate label is a scam, because there's no such thing as a moderate Democrat, because they're going to vote for Hillary. It don't matter. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has a Republican Party that gets all bent out of shape about things that he says, and they act like that they've never heard somebody talk about this stuff in politics before. And he loses support among Republicans who jump over to Hillary's train every time they get offended. And I've never understood how the Democrats can be so committed to somebody so wrong for America, and the Republicans are not willing to stand behind their candidate and become turncoats at the first sign of trouble. It tells me a lot about the Republican Party, and it tells me a lot about why I've gone independent and plan to do so. But I just hope this debate tonight, folks, I really do. I hope this debate centers on the issues. It's got to center on the issues. And, you know, we've got so much things going on in our country right now. I want to hear what the future is and what the vision is for these candidates. And I will say this, Donald Trump gets a lot, you know, the media gets in trouble, or let me rephrase this. He gets in trouble with the media because he is so overexposed to them at times. He gives any interview. Somebody wants to come talk to him, he'll talk. He'll say whatever. And when somebody asks him about his platform or his plans, he'll tell them without any hesitation. You get Hillary, and all she tells them is go to her website. And I mean, I just think that is so disingenuous of a candidate to where you blow off the American people and say, well, go to my website and read what my plan is. We ain't got time to go to your website, Hillary. We want to hear it from you. And see, she's afraid to say what her vision is because, folks, her vision is a dark, left-wing, progressive path for America that is going to take us into socialism and possibly communism. I want to read you something tonight. I just found this website tonight, and I want you to listen to this. This is actually, I'm going to read it first, and then I'm going to tell you where it's from. And some of you may already know when I start reading it. But these are 10 planks that are out there that basically are in contrast to capitalism. And I'm going to read you what the plank is, and then I'm going to read you what the American verbiage is, how left-wing leaning Democrats like Hillary Clinton use this terminology to hide their real agenda. Number one, abolition of private property and the application of all rents and lands to public purposes. Americans do these things with actions such as the 14th Amendment and various zoning, school, and property taxes. The Bureau of Land Management and zoning laws are the first step to government property ownership. And folks, Hillary Clinton is all for the government being able to step in and grab property. Number 2, a heavy, progressive, or graduated income tax. I'm going to show you her tax plan in just a minute. Americans know this as a misapplication of the 16th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, 1913, the Social Security Act of 1936, the Joint House Resolution of 1933, and various state income taxes. The Democrats call it paying your fair share. She used that statement this week, even referring to Donald Trump and saying he didn't pay his fair share. That's the left's playbook. That's the word that they use to push a very heavy, progressive, or graduated income tax. And it gets better. Listen to this. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels that they seem fit deemed a danger to the government. Americans call this government seizures and tax liens. Public Law 99-571 in 1986, an executive order in 11490 is the executive order that gives private land to the Department of Urban Development, the imprisonment of terrorists and those who speak out or write against the government. And again, the government determines that. They determine who's a terrorist. So if you just want to say, I hate Hillary Clinton, they could consider you a terrorist. They could come get your property. That's a tenet of the left. If you don't believe me, listen to the left whenever somebody criticizes Clinton. They're all for this fair speech until their candidate gets slammed. I'm going to tell you a quick story. It happened to me just this week up in Middlesboro, Kentucky. I was on air with Tom Amos. Walked out of the room, and there was a young man standing there who was with the program director of the station. It's a college-run station. And the young man looked at me and Tom, and he said, I just think y'all should be more fair in your broadcast. And Tom just busted out laughing, and I busted out laughing too. And I looked at him, and I said, well, what do you mean by fair? I said, do you mean if I was in there bashing Hillary or bashing Trump and not bashing Hillary, that you would consider it fair? And he shut up. He wouldn't say a word. He held his head down, and he knew that that's exactly what he meant. And folks, that's what they mean. They don't want fairness. They just want one-sided discussion and discourse. Number 5, centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and exclusive monopoly. Number 6, centralization of the means of communication and transportation in the hands of the state. This internet bill that Barack Obama is pushing for the UN and the world bodies to be in control of the internet is tied into this tenet. A centralization of all communication where they can monitor anything on the internet, your email, your chat, your phone. They want to monitor that. Number 7, an extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state. The bringing into cultivation of wasteland and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with a common plan. That has to do with the control of lands by the Department of Commerce and Labor, the Interior, the Bureau of Land Management. They control these lands. We've got a state park over here, and those parks are subject to the federal government. And that's why when we had the shutdown here last year, that we had no parks. We couldn't go into Arcades Cove, and those parks over in the Smokies were not open. We was not able to enjoy them. Equal liability of all to labor, establishment of industrial armies, especially with agriculture. Number 9, a combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of population over the county. In other words, forced relocations and forced sterilization programs like they have in China. And this is actually the Planning Reorganization Act of 1949 sort of hinted at that, but it never was carried out. But China has forced sterilization, folks, because they believe that the population needs to be controlled. This ties into the abortion issue that the Democrats are strong about. And if you start reading the comments of Margaret Sangster, the founder of Planned Parenthood, and you read what she had to say about the control of the population among black people and babies, you'll be shocked. We may read that one day soon. But the scarier thing is Hillary Clinton, said in an interview not too long ago, she said Margaret Sanger was one of the great champions for civil rights, for women's civil rights. And she was nothing but a murderer, a racist, and a baby killer, and a promotion of baby killer. Number 10, free education for all children in public schools. You heard that from Bernie Sanders. Free education, free college, abolition of children's factories, laborers in its present form, a combination of education with industrial production. In other words, they mix the school and the workforce together. They control the colleges, they control the schools, and then the kids that are a part of that are subject to the state, not to the parents. Now, folks, what I just read to you are the 10 planks of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. You can Google that on the internet and find it for yourself. But if you listen to what I just read to you, that is exactly what the Democratic Party has been pushing for nearly 2 decades or 3 decades. And they have no qualm about it. And when you hear the term, and you'll hear it tonight, you mark my word, in this debate with Tim Kaine and Mike Pence, because Tim Kaine embraces the same thing Hillary does. He believes that taxes on the wealthy is a way to get the wealthy to pay their fair share. And folks, that's one thing that the thing with Donald Trump is bothering me today, is because, that's what I'm hearing from Hillary, that he didn't pay his fair share. And I want you to look at this right here. This is an interesting subject. And it's an interesting way to look at this. This is what the 2 tax plans look like between Hillary and Trump's. Everything that you see on that left side, folks, that is what she plans to increase the tax rate by on families even making as low as $9,200 a month. Your taxes are going up 15% under Hillary's plan for single filers. And you can it goes from 15 to 43. 5 millions and up, 43.6% of their income is going to the government. Under Trump, he's got basically 3 tax brackets, 12, 25, and 33. 15% corporate tax rate across the board. He's going to renegotiate these NAFTA deals, withdraw from TPP, end the death tax, fully deduct child care expenses, and expand energy production. In other words, he's going to lower taxes on businesses and people, which he hopes will encourage growth, and I believe it will. But if you look at Hillary Clinton's tax plan, folks, what small business in their right mind would want to start a business in this country? Nobody. But let me tell you something. That's not just going to affect small businesses. That's going to affect me and you. That is going to affect everybody. And this crap that she's talking about, that her plan will help middle America, it will not help middle class America, folks. She's going after everybody's income. And she can hide that any way you want to hide it. And she can lie about it and say what she wants to say. And then, get on and let us chase a rabbit down this hole for a 21-year-old tax return from Donald Trump. Basically, in 1995, where he had a $916 million loss, and then her have the gall to say he didn't pay his fair share. Folks, she ain't paid her fair share. She's just as guilty as him in using the same thing that Donald Trump did, not to pay taxes. I want you to look at this. This is an excerpt from her 2015 tax return. And I read on one website that this is just bogus, which I've checked it out. It's not bogus. It's exactly how they filed their taxes. And look at this right here, what they deducted. That's deductions by the Clintons last year. The campaign, they deducted every bit of the income that they claimed as capital gains. A lot of this income right here is income they took in for charity with the Clinton Foundation. So she used the very same capital gains loss scheme, or that's what she wants to call it, or formula, or however you want to look at it, that Donald Trump did. But they used the same thing. But she didn't mention that in all this Trump bashing over the last few days about his taxes. And that is just, and again, it's so hypocritical, and it's just unreal that they're doing it. And I'm just telling you that, folks, this right here is more scary to me than anything else. I don't, at this point, I wish Donald Trump, in all fairness to this argument, I think he would be better to release his taxes. I think he needs to get them out there, stop letting the media kill him over it. Whether he does or not, it's up to Donald Trump. But for them to bring up a 21-year-old tax return and say that it shows that he don't care about America because he don't pay taxes is just not true. There was a story out that the Political Insider reported that 5 of Clinton's top friends didn't pay taxes either, and they've had tax problems. Timothy Geithner, the former Treasury Secretary, owed nearly $350,000 to the federal government, had to resign. Let me see if I can find that article here, because it's amazing how this worked out. Geithner was $34,000, not $350,000. I'm sorry, $34,000 in federal income taxes. Charlie Rangel, $75,000 in income tax over a sale of a 3-bedroom villa. Had to basically almost step down from Congress. They censured him, but they didn't expel him, but they should have. Claire McCaskill, she's interesting because she was on the TV programs this Sunday just bashing Trump left and right about his taxes. Well, come to find out, back in 2011, she had to sell a private plane to pay back nearly $287,000 for 4 years of back taxes. But yet she's claiming Trump's a horrible American over a 21-year-old tax return. Tom Daschle, former Speaker of the House during the time of Bush, very, very left-wing leaning dude. He basically neglected to pay $128,000 in taxes 3 years prior. Had to step aside when Barack Obama in 2008 nominated him to the Health and Human Services Department. Couldn't do it because of those tax issues. And then this final one is amazing. John Kerry, our own Secretary of State. He of course, is a big Hillary supporter, but he docked his 76-foot yacht in Rhode Island instead of docking it in his home state of Massachusetts for the express purpose of avoiding $500,000 or so in excise taxes he'd have to pay by doing so. LA Times compiled a list about 5 years ago, 41 White House aides at the time, this was right before the second election of Barack Obama, the re-election, that nearly 41 White House aides had to pay nearly $1 million in back taxes. And every one of these are and still huge Hillary supporters, huge Democratic people that are just, all for Hillary. Zero Hedge today reported that Hillary Clinton took advantage of a legal scheme to use historical losses to avoid paying current taxes on her 2015 return. But again, the media does not report that. All you've heard this last few days is that Trump didn't pay taxes, Trump didn't pay this, Trump didn't pay that. And they've insinuated that he did something illegal. It has never been said anywhere or proven that Trump did anything illegal by taking that deduction. And instead of blaming Trump for that, we should be looking at the tax code. We should be looking at how the tax code itself works. And if we got a problem with the way it works, change it. And if Hillary, and that's the thing, and all, but I'm just giving you a warning tonight, folks. This is not about Donald Trump's taxes. This is more about her plan for you and me. Because she's setting the stage and she's setting the bar to come in and raise taxes. And I like the little thing says she wants to tax the hell out of everyone. And she does. Even those that are making less than $10,000 a year, your taxes are going up if Hillary Clinton's elected. That's just the facts. And according to her website, that's what the single file rate will be. And that 43.6% is just astounding. I mean, folks, that is a lot of you. That's half your income. I mean, think about that the government wants. But that term fair share is taking exactly from the Communist Manifesto of Karl Marx himself in 1917. And everything that the Democrats are doing is taken right out of that playbook. And I'm telling you, we're on the brink of that if this country don't change and we don't get our act together and all. Let me just say a few quick things about all this, and then I'm going to get off this, and then we're going to talk about some better things. And I'm going to cut this short tonight. As I said, I'm still recovering a little bit from this flu bug yesterday, and I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to talk about my Tennessee Vols a little bit tonight, my Falcons, before we leave. Folks, this debate tonight, again, I just hope it's about the issues. I just hope they stick to telling us what they've got for the country, both parties, their vision, their policies, what they want to see happen. I just pray these moderators will keep their mouths shut, stay out of it, stay out of the gutter politics, and be fair to both Pence and Kaine. Do I believe that's going to happen? Nope, I sure don't. Unfortunately, I don't. And it's sad, but that is just, unfortunately, that is what's going to happen. I do want to pull up something real quick here, and I meant to say this a while ago, and I should have already talked about it, but I will as I get ready to change over a little bit, and then we're going to talk about a few other things here. This poll came out yesterday, and I want you to look at this. This is an interesting poll where the electric is right now in this election as we're about 36 days away from it. Fox News asked a question in their recent poll, and they said this: what is your biggest motivation for voting this year in the presidential election? Nearly 57% of the people that were asked that question said that they fear the other candidate more than they like their own candidate. Meaning, people that are voting for Hillary are not voting because they love Hillary, they're voting because they hate and they fear Trump. People that are voting for Trump do not necessarily like Trump, but they're voting for Hillary, meaning they're voting against Hillary because they're scared of her. When they ask which one of these do you fear the most, Hillary was feared the most. Trump leads her like 57-32, something like that. Basically the same margin. So there's more people that fear her than fear him. And I'm just going to say this. I said this today on my live feed from Facebook, and I was doing a live thing, and I said this, and I'll say it again tonight. I've been on the Trump train for a long time. I do not agree with everything Donald Trump has said. I cringe sometimes, like all of you do out there. I shake my head and his mistakes. But I look at her vision for America. This is not even about personality, folks. It's not about things that he says. It's about her vision for this country and the dark path that she's got in store for America if she's elected. And I just cannot get over how people are so offended at the least little thing he says and not be offended by the numerous deadly, evil, wicked things she has done. Donald Trump says something, people get offended. Hillary Clinton does something, and people die. Julia Assange today didn't even want to go on live TV and say a word about these emails that he claims that he's got from Hillary. And I want to put this up right here, and I'll tell you one reason why he don't want to do that. This was back in 2010. And I want you to look at this statement. This is what Hillary said about him back during the time she was Secretary of State. And I'll just read this real quick, and then we may talk about Julian a little bit more tomorrow. But it says, Clinton's State Department was getting pressure from President Obama and his White House inner circle, as well as heads of state, to try and cut off Assange's delivery of the cables. And if that effort failed, forge a strategy to minimize the administration's public embarrassment over the contents of those cables, those emails. Clinton's early morning meeting in November at the meeting of states' top brass, who floated various proposals to stop, slow, or spin the WikiLeaks contamination. This is when a frustrated Clinton at some point blurted out a controversial inquiry, and she said, quote, "Can't we just drone the guy?" She openly inquired, offering a simple remedy to silence Assange and smother WikiLeaks via a planned military drone strike, according to State Department sources. The statement drew laughter from the room, which quickly died off when the secretary kept talking in a terse manner, sources said. Clinton said Assange, after all, was a relatively soft target, quote, walking around freely and thumbing his nose without any fear of reprisals from the United States. Well, I got news for you, Hillary. He's walking around tonight fearing you. He's not fearing the United States. He fears you. And he made an announcement today that he's not going to release those emails right away. He's going to wait till after or before the election, maybe a little bit later when he feels safer. But I just want to ask you a question, folks, looking at this right here. What would have happened in the media, then or now? It don't matter when it was said, but what happened if something surfaced like this and it had been Donald Trump saying, can't we just drone a guy? Can't we just drone this guy? Can you imagine the firestorm? I can. It would have been hilariously bad. They would have been calling him, again, unhinged, unfit. He's just wild, man. He's just crazy. Well, let me tell you something. Donald Trump didn't say that. Hillary Clinton said that. And if you're going to apply those adjectives to Trump, you need to apply them to her. Because this is the kind of woman, folks, that's on the brink of being elected. And again, I don't have no qualms. I'm not embarrassed about it. I know some of my friends are Trump supporters and they don't want to go on the record because they don't want to be embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. I don't think that we have to agree with every jot and tittle our candidate says, and I do wish there were things that he did better in his campaign, but I've never expected Donald Trump to be a polished politician. That's what's made him who he is, and he can't stop being that. The day that he becomes one of these polished politicians is the day we all lose faith in him, because that's what made him get the Republican nomination for president of the United States of America. We're sick of all the polished politicians. We're sick of everybody. And who is perfect out there? Not one of you watching me tonight, and not one of those politicians creaming him and criticizing him. These politicians that are running their mouth have got so many skeletons in their closet. If the media would do their job and start digging, not a one of them would have a right to lift a pinky to say anything about Donald Trump and his business dealings or his family, including the Democratic nominee for president, Hillary J. Clinton, or Rodham Clinton, or whatever her name is. But folks, let me tell you something tonight. This is the kind of lady you're getting. This is the kind of thing she believes in. And that's how dangerous she is. And we'll pick this up a little bit more tomorrow. And but I just wanted to give that take on the debate tonight. Again, I just hope that these gentlemen stick to the issues, because this number right here, 57% voting against another candidate, is something unprecedented in our country, folks. But that's how fed up we are all out here. And that should tell you where the state of this race is and how it's going to play out. All righty. Let me come back over here, and I'm going to go change screens on you. There I am. And look at here, look at here. I want to just give a good shout out tonight to my Vols. And look, I got to do this. I'm sorry. I got to play this. And, you know, I love you Georgia fans, but I got to play Rocky Top. Not to add salt to the wound, we got to watch it again right here. This is what happened on the final play, Saturday afternoon in Athens. I love it.
Dobbs heaves it. They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught. It is caught. Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings.
What a finish. What a finish in Tennessee. What a finish in Athens. Way to go, UT!
Another hobnail boot.
I could watch that a million times, folks. What a great finish tonight for our Vols over the weekend. I want to give them a shout out and let them know that this dude right here, look, I love my Vols, I love my Dogs, I love my Nobles, but Saturday, this was a time to root for Tennessee. And I'm proud of them. Hope they'll go into Texas A&M this week and show the Aggies that this win in Georgia this weekend was not a fluke. And I tell you, just watching the picture there of Jawan Jennings pulling that pass down is unreal. And I'm just so proud of him. I got to watch this again with you. I'm sorry. It's worth watching again, this Hail Mary.
Dobbs heaves it. They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught.
That's football, folks. That's football. Look at Butch Jones there. So much emotion, and that's what I love about this coach. It's taken a while for me to warm up to Butch, but I have to tell you, this year, the wins that they've gotten over Florida and this one Saturday, let me know that we've got the right man here in Tennessee for this job, and I'm so proud of them, and I just want to give a shout out to them tonight again. One other thing I want to do here, I want to also give a shout out to another one of my teams. And let me get this off, and I will show you. Whoops, wrong slideshow. Hang on just a second. There we go. And here I am. These are the Atlanta Falcons, who are 3-1 in the NFC South today, as of today, thanks to a 48-33 beatdown of the Carolina Panthers. Matt Ryan threw for 503 yards. Julio Jones set a franchise record. Matt did too with that 500-yard performance. And Julio Jones set a franchise record with 303 receiving yards. And even though the Panthers threatened there at the end, the Falcons used a huge play with Julio and an interception to basically close the deal on the defending NFC champions who went to the Super Bowl last year. And, of course, Denver beat them. But, look, Carolina's a good team. This was not some fluke win Sunday. And Cam Newton was on his backside a lot. And the Falcons finally got a little pressure on him But the story Sunday was not the defense. The story was Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And look, I've been a Falcons fan since I've been a child. I'm an Atlanta native, and I love the Braves. I love the Falcons, and it's doing my heart good to see this offense click, and I just hope that they'll keep it up in Denver. It's going to be a good test Sunday in Denver. That's going to be a marquee game. We'll talk about that on our Friday football segment. But it's going to be a hell of a game on Sunday against the Falcons and those Broncos, the same ones that defeated Tampa Bay Sunday, and they're 4-0. They're undefeated. Atlanta's 3-1. But again, I just wanted to show these pictures of Julio. They're catching a pass, and Matt, tremendous game, and we're just thrilled to see the Falcons offense come around. We got to get that defense straightened out, but we will. Dan Quinn's a good coach, and he'll figure it out personnel-wise, and that is that. All righty, that's all for the sports talk for tonight. We'll get back to more in a minute. Let me go back over here.
Of the people,
and we're trying to keep our sound effects from coming on right now. But listen, folks, that's the end of our Mac Files for the night. We appreciate it. That is the Mac Files for Tuesday night, October the 4th, 2016. Again, trying to get over a little flu bug here, and thank you for your patience with the tech stuff, but I hope the discussion encouraged you a little bit tonight and made some sense, and we welcome your comments. And you can find us on Facebook at the Mac Files, and you can also check us out on the YouTube page, the Mac Files. But that is it for a Tuesday night, and we do appreciate you tuning in. And we will again see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And we just hope that you have enjoyed this edition of the Mac Files. As we go out, we're going to play a little Moon Dance song by Mr. Van Morrison, and we hope that you enjoy that. But again, we just want to say thank you for joining us on tonight's broadcast, and we will see you tomorrow right here on the Mac Files. Have a good evening, everybody. God bless.
By the people, for the people.
And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.